What seemed to be just another ordinary day in a small rural community in the state of Montana, United States, quickly turned into a silent nightmare. A 3-year-old boy, Ryker Webb, mysteriously disappeared while playing in his backyard. At first glance, everything pointed to a typical case: a small, distracted child who got lost in the forest. Nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary. But as the hours turned into days, something started to feel off. The search efforts, which involved helicopters, drones, sniffer dogs, and dozens of volunteers, lasted 3 long and suffocating nights. 3 days in which time seemed to stand still, and every second felt like a sentence against the survival of such a young child in a wild and hostile environment. And then, he appeared. Alive. But something was strange. Riker was found in a condition that raised more questions than relief, with a vacant stare, his body almost too intact, and a silence that unsettled even the most seasoned rescuers. Today, you'll learn about the Ryker Webb case, and why many believe that the boy who came out of the forest was no longer the same. Tryon, a small forgotten town in the northwest of the state of Montana, United States. Less than 1,000 residents, surrounded by dense forests, silent mountains, and a landscape that blends peace and isolation in almost poetic proportions. It was an ordinary Friday. That afternoon, little Ryker Webb, only 3 years old, was playing in his backyard. He was with his dog and his father, waiting for his mother to return from work. Curious, Riker loved insects, spending hours exploring the brush, lifting stones, watching tiny creatures. But that day, something different happened. In a brief moment, the father went inside to grab something for his son to eat. When he came back, Riker had disappeared. In seconds, the backyard was empty, and the silence thick. The father ran across the property. He called, he shouted, he searched the surroundings, he knocked on the neighbors' doors, but no one had seen anything. No clues, no footprints, nothing. Authorities were immediately alerted. What followed was one of the largest mobilizations in the area. FBI, National Guard, rescuers, helicopters, drones, sniffer dogs, even volunteers from the town joined the search. The forest was relentlessly combed, but then night fell, and with it, the storm. Heavy rain, mud, cutting winds. Any chance of following tracks was washed away by the waters. The hours became eternal, and with temperatures ranging from 12 degrees Celsius during the day to 4 degrees Celsius at night, and drenched clothes, the chance of Riker surviving seemed to fade with every passing minute. On the second day, a clue: rocks stacked in an unusual way in a clearing. Maybe Riker had been looking for insects there. Maybe he was trying to mark the path. But that was just a guess. He was still missing. The forest was wild territory. Bears, mountain lions, rugged terrain, biting cold. It was as if nature itself conspired against the innocence of a lost child. Then, on the third day, June 5th, a call. A couple of volunteers on a remote trail found an old abandoned cabin. From inside, they heard murmurs, almost animal-like. When they opened the door, they saw the unthinkable. There was Ryker Webb, sitting, motionless, wide-eyed, soaked, dirty, alive, but strange. Rushed immediately to the hospital, the boy seemed changed, as if something in the forest had taken a part of him. Or maybe it had brought something back with him. It was at that moment that a photo of Ryker Webb was taken. At first glance, he seemed, well, considering everything he had been through. He wasn't crying, he wasn't screaming, he didn't seem confused. But there was something strange, deeply strange. His eyes were wide open, fixed on something no one could see. His mouth formed a crooked smile, almost out of place, as if it had been frozen in time. It was the expression of someone who had seen what no child should ever see. The image spread across social media, generating varied reactions. Some called it moving, others disturbing, but for many, it was the 1,000-yard stare, a phrase born from the horrors of World War I, used to describe the emptiness in the eyes of traumatized soldiers, eyes that had seen too much, eyes that would never be the same again. And Riker had exactly that look. At first, it seemed like Ryker Webb's story would have a happy ending. He was found alive, uninjured, which seemed like a true miracle. But for many, that was just the beginning of something even stranger. How did a 3-year-old child survive alone in a dense forest, surrounded by bears, mountain lions, and a violent storm? And how did he manage to walk 3 kilometers to a remote cabin, without injuries, without scratches, and seemingly well fed? The official version, given by the sheriff of Troy, was that Riker wandered off looking for insects, got lost, and ended up finding shelter on his own. But that raises many questions. Would such a small child think to shelter himself alone? Would he walk so far? And why did the dog, always protective, return alone, agitated, as if it had seen something? Another controversy emerged with the delay in contacting authorities. According to records, the police were called only 2 hours after the disappearance. This raised suspicions. Why wait so long? But the strangest part came after the rescue. Rumors say that the parents themselves, upon seeing Riker, said that wasn't their child. Comparisons between photos before and after the disappearance showed notable physical differences. An unconfirmed source even claimed that Riker was wearing different clothes than he had when he disappeared. Some rumors suggested that the parents had done a DNA test, and at certain points, the results came back negative. A video also circulated showing a supposed child being found, but it was debunked. It was from another case. As the days passed, the case went viral, and more theories began to emerge. What really happened to Ryker Webb during those days in the forest? Since Riker was found, the case has fueled various theories, some logical, others completely bizarre. Among the most extreme were those suggesting that the boy had been abducted by aliens, or that the child found wasn't Riker, but a folkloric entity, like a skinwalker or a doppelganger. These creatures, according to some Native American legends and European folklore, would have the ability to mimic the appearance of real people in order to infiltrate among humans, gain their trust, and then attack when they were most vulnerable. Scary, definitely. Impossible, who knows? But among all the theories, one of the more acceptable ones suggested that Riker wasn't alone. Someone had taken him to the cabin, changed his clothes, and fed him. With the growing public pressure and police mobilization, this potential kidnapper would have given up on the plan and left the boy behind. This hypothesis, as plausible as it seems, also lacks concrete proof and leaves many questions unanswered. The only certainty is that Riker saw something in that forest, something that deeply marked him. In 2023, a video posted on TikTok by an account called Ryker Webb, supposedly Riker's older brother, reignited public curiosity. In the video, Kaiden asks if Riker remembers what happened that day. The boy, now a little older, responds that he does. When asked what he saw, Riker murmurs something inaudible, but it seems he saw someone in that cabin. Who? Or what? The mystery remains. But the most important thing is that today, Riker seems to be doing well. We hope he grows up healthy, without carrying the shadows of whatever he faced. And if there is something his mind holds, may God have mercy and help him forget.